guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Today I wanted to come on here and give you my opinions, my thoughts and my opinions on the new Kat Von D Metal Matte palette and let you know whether or not I think it's worth picking up for the holiday season because this is a limited edition palette that she's come out with for the holiday. So the box, when you get it, it looks like this. It has this very unique metal design that says metal, and then when you flip it, it says matte. So I think that's very neat. I love Kat Von D's artwork. If you've never seen any of Kat Von D's artwork, I suggest checking out her Instagram. She does some unique things. And then the actual palette itself looks like this, and it says the same thing. It says metal, and then when you flip it, it says matte. So I think that's very neat that she did that she incorporated a little bit of herself into this palette, like she always does though. Honestly, every single palette that she's ever come out with, I feel like she's put a little bit of herself into it, like she's done her unique touches onto it, which I truly appreciate because I love artsy things. So, and then on the back of the palette, it looks like this. So it's showing you that at the top, there are all the metal shades, and at the bottom here are all your matte shades. So you do get quite a few shades in here, and I think it's a great palette. I, however, think that this palette is getting either rave reviews or it's getting a negative reviews. I haven't heard too many people that are indifferent about the palette. I think most people either love it or you hate it. It's one of those palettes that's it's either or. So I wanted to give you my thoughts and my opinions on this palette. So if maybe you like the type of makeup that I normally like, then you have an idea of whether or not I feel this palette's good. So maybe you could kind of go base your decision upon that. So I wanted to give you an idea of how big this palette is. Most everyone is familiar with how big the Lorac Pro palettes are. So here is a Lorac Pro compared to the Kat Von D new palette. So you can see that it's quite a big difference. So I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with Kat Von D shadows themselves. Kat Von D is super pigmented. It's not quite like Lorac though. Lorac I think is a little more soft and a little bit more like when you put your brush into it, it kicks up a lot. Kat Von D's a little bit more, not hard pressed whatsoever, but it's a little bit better pressed into the pan. Not saying that Lorac is bad whatsoever. I'm just saying Kat Von D's a little bit better pressed into the pan, so you're not getting quite as much kick up. You're still going to get kick up because with any kind of powder product, you're going to get kick up. So I'm also going to throw in a little demo here of me applying the eyeshadow look that I have on today so that you can see me actually using this palette. I want you to know that it works really well when you put it on your eye. It does take a little bit of effort to blend out. Not a whole lot though. I wouldn't say that you're going to put it on and sit there and spend like a lot of time blending it out. But it does take a little bit longer for me, myself anyway, to blend these shadows out to where I like them. So now let's open the inside of the palette up so you can see what it looks like. It does have an extremely large mirror in here. And then you have all of your shades. Like I said, at the top, all the little circles are all your metal shades. And at the bottom are all your matte shades. I absolutely love this palette. I think it's really gorgeous. I love the shades in here. To me, it's more of a cooler palette though. I wouldn't say this is a warm palette. I would say maybe if you're looking for some warm shadows, maybe a couple of these down through here might be the warmer shades that you could possibly use. But mostly I would say this is a cool shade palette. So if you're not one who typically likes a cooler palette, then I don't think this is for you. If you like a cooler palette and you like the metal shades that Kat Von D has come out with, then I think this palette is amazing. These metal shades up here at the top swatch amazingly. They wear amazingly. I like to put them on with a flat brush. You can also apply them with your finger though. So if you do not have a flat brush and you want to apply them with your finger, they're going to work extremely well also. The matte shades down here, I found most of them I say are great. The only one I'd say is a little bit off is the green shade. The green shade swatches a little bit patchy, but other than that, I'd say the rest of them swatch amazingly. I would have no problems with them whatsoever. I was hesitant honestly to get this palette because I had heard so many negative reviews and I was like, I'm not going to spend $60 because again, this palette does cost $60. I'm not going to spend $60 on a palette that I'm not going to enjoy. But then after I got it, I'm like, what is everybody fussing about? Because this palette is absolutely amazing. I have not found one eye look that I've created that I hated. I think every eye look I've created using this palette, I've absolutely loved. I love these blues. I love this burgundy shade down here. I love all of the metal shades up at the top. This one here called Flash is gorgeous on the eyes. This one here, Glitz, is really gorgeous. Tinsel is a little bit harder to work with. Not super hard though. I'd say it's just a little bit harder to work with. If you look at it, you can tell that it's just a little bit thicker created into the pan. It's not quite as finely milled as the rest of these here. So this one is a little bit more thicker, but nothing that you can't work with. I mean, it works amazingly. So again, I will insert a video right here now so that you can see me applying this look so that you know how it worked on my eyes and know how it worked for me. now, after you watch that little clip, now we're back to we're going to swatch this palette. So we're going to swatch it out now, and I'll show you how this palette looks swatched. I'm actually just going to swatch it with my fingers. If you prefer for me to swatch it with a brush, let me know, because I can definitely re-swatch it. If you'd like to see this palette compared to a couple other Kat Von D's shadow palettes, let me know, because I can definitely do some comparisons. So like maybe if you have a couple Kat Von D eyeshadow palettes and you want to see if maybe you should pass on this because you have some and you're like maybe they're similar, let me know, because I can also do that. So for now we're just going to do some finger swatching on this palette. So we're going to start up here with all the metal shades, and we're going to start using Nebula. So Nebula is right here. It's the blue one. So we're going to swatch, and here it is on my finger. And here it is swatched. Do you see how pretty that is? I think it's gorgeous. Now I will tell you another thing while we're swatching this. These shadows will stain. So once you put them on, they're going to stain. I mean, my finger, just by barely touching that, my finger's already stained. So I will warn you of that. So they may take a little bit of work to get off your eye. So I would definitely use a primer underneath of them so that you're not staining your eyelids themselves. I would definitely use some sort of primer. Now we're moving on to what? What is this green, like a, it's like a teal green color. So here is what, and here is what swatched. Look how beautiful that is. I mean, these metal shades swatch so gorgeous. Now we're moving on to Ignite. And Ignite looks like this on my finger. And then swatched it looks like that. Look at this. I mean, seriously. I had never really tried a whole lot of Kat Von D's metal shades, so I was really impressed by this. Now we're moving on to Tencel. Tencel is the one I feel is a little bit thicker. Like it's a little bit chunkier. It's not, oops, sorry guys. It's not super bad or anything, but I would say it's got a little bit of chunk to it. So I don't know if you can tell it or not, but on my arm, you can see a little bit of the thickness to it. It's not quite as finely milled as the others. So if you don't particularly like that shade, I mean, I'd say out of all these shades in here, I would say there's only two that are like not the best. But I would say the rest of these work amazing. Now Glitz. Glitz is like a pinky shade, and this one works really, really good for the inner portion of your eyelid like I used today. And here it is swatched. And now we're moving on to Twinkle. Twinkle is this like periwinkle color. So here is Twinkle, and here is Twinkle swatched. Again, do you see how metallic these are? I think they're gorgeous. Now we're moving on to Volt. Volt is more of a burgundy-ish color. It's like a maroonish, no, not maroonish. It's purple, but it's got a little bit of red tone to it somehow. So Volt, and Volt feels a little bit thicker too. Volt's not, it doesn't go in the eye bad, but it just feels a little bit thicker in the pan. So there is Volt. Now we have Synergy. Synergy is like this copper color right here. And swatched, it looks like this. Look how pretty that is. I mean, these colors right here are so gorgeous. I would say they'd make a really gorgeous eye look for any season. I'd say you can use this palette for winter, spring, summer, fall, whichever one you want to choose it for. And then we're on to Flash, and Flash is like this golden color. And here is Flash swatched. So that is all the metals swatched. I'd love to know your thoughts and your opinions on this palette, whether or not you think it's worth getting. I'd love to know what you think of it so far. And again, like I said, it does stain. So once you get it onto your eyes, you definitely, like I said, you definitely want to use a primer, because you are going to stain your eyelids. And if you've had it on for an all day long period, then it may actually take a little bit of work getting off your eyelids. I have always used a primer with this palette. I typically use a primer with most of my palettes just because I have some creasy eyelids and I like to use some sort of primer. So now we're going to go on to the matte shades and dry my arm off completely here. Sorry about the cat scratches, guys. Bella's been crazy. Now we're moving down to the matte shades. And the first one we're going to swatch here is Linen. And Linen looks like this. It's just a typical white shade, and it'd be a great for eyebrow highlight, which is what I actually used it for today. Jet is the next shade. Jet is another one actually that it feels really nice in the pan, but it swatches just a little bit patchy, but it goes on the eye just fine. I wouldn't say you'd have a problem with it. So there is Jet. Now we're on to Velour. Velour is this really gorgeous blue one. It reminds me of the Kentucky UK color. What is it? Is that the UK color? I'm pretty sure it is. So here is Velour. Do you see how smooth these are swatching? I just think that they are gorgeous. I'm not sure, like I said, why this palette was getting so many negative reviews. Now we're moving on to Stone. And Stone looks like this. And again, I am not using an eye primer whatsoever on my arm. So what you're seeing here is actually without a primer at all. So you're getting the true pigmentation from the palette. And then we're moving on to Moss. And here is Moss. Moss is gorgeous. I love that green shade. Oh my goodness. But like I said, when you put it on the eye, it does take a little bit more work because I feel like it does get a little bit patchy. Nothing to where you cannot work with it though. So like I said, I think this palette is completely amazing. But like I said, you will stain. I mean, my finger is completely stained right now. Now we're moving on to Ribbon. And here is Ribbon. What do you guys think of these colors? Let me know your thoughts. I'd love to hear what you guys think of these colors in this palette. Now we're moving on to Silk. Silk is just a very light purple color. It's really pretty. That would be great for layering these two right here to make a purple eye. Then we have Fringe. Fringe is like a baby pink color. Whoops, I just scratched it. Ooh. Don't do that with your palette. So there is Fringe. These are all the colors so far. Now we're moving on to Feather. Feather is this baby yellow color. Feather. Again, I think this palette is completely gorgeous. I'm not sure how much I'd actually use that shade Feather, but you know, I'm sure I can find a look for it. Oops, I meant to show you guys. This is Oak. Let's make sure I'm not going over top the yellow. Here's Oak. Again, do you see any problems with the pigmentation in this? I just don't. And like I said, I mean, I am swatching this with my finger, so brush swatching would be a little bit different. So if you want brush swatches, let me know. Now we're moving on to Suede. Suede is a very, very good shadow to lay down as like your base color. That's what I typically use it for. Now we're moving on to Bone. Bone is another one that you could use for a brow bone like highlight. I don't like one that's a shimmery highlight for my brow bone. I like a matte one. So there is Bone. Bone is really, really white. Bone is actually whiter than the linen shade, if you can tell. And the very last shade in this palette is called Velvet. And there it is right here. And we'll swatch it. And Velvet. Goodness gracious, we went all the way down to the elbow. Whoops. Is that swatching bad because of there where it's at? Let me just redo that one, guys. That one I feel like needs to be redone. Let's move it up here. Oh, that one is a very patchy actually. And I'm not sure if I just didn't try that one or if I didn't know that it was patchy, but that one is really, really patchy. Can you tell that? And that was 2 times swatching. Both times it looked a little patchy. So there are actually 3 shades I would say in here that are not the best quality, but I would never say that they're bad. I wouldn't say that they're bad whatsoever. So if you're interested in this palette, I would say it's definitely a win for me. Because I mean, out of the shades in here, I'd say only 3 are like not the best. But I would not say that they're terrible. I'd just say that there are some better shades that Kat Von D has come out with. So in my opinion, I would say this is definitely a buy. I would definitely pick this up if you're interested in it. If you are looking at getting it, I think it is limited edition, but I think it might still be available during the Sephora VIB sale. So if you're looking at getting it, you could possibly hold off until then and save yourself at least 15-20% off of it, because that's what typically the fall sale is. I think it's 15% for like your BI and I think for your BI, I'm pretty sure. And then VIB and VIB Rouge is 20%. So if you want to save a little bit of money on it, I think it might still be in stock at that time, but don't quote me because it might run out. I'm not sure. I just know I'm really happy that I got it. I'm glad that I didn't listen to all the naysayers about this palette. I'm glad that I picked it up and I'm really enjoying it. Like I said, there are a few shades in here that do not swatch as good as some other Kat Von D shades, but I wouldn't say this is a bad palette whatsoever. I'd say it's a great palette. So in my opinion, I'd say this is definitely a buy. I would pick it up if you are interested in it. And in other words, I'd say that this is, to me, honestly, this is one of my most exciting palettes that I've seen for the holiday season, besides the new Urban Decay one that's coming out. I really like color, so if you're someone who likes color, definitely pick it up. If you're someone who sticks to basic neutrals, I would say that you might not want this one. So anyway, let me know your thoughts and your opinions on this palette. What do you think of it? Do you think it's a buy or do you think it's a buy? Let me know what you think. Do you think that you would pick it up or do you think you'd leave it at the store? And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you found it informative. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, I'll catch you guys later.